Titus and I'm Thomas, and this is Everyone's Bad at Magic, where we untap, upkeep, and punt. And today we're joined by our homie Anthony, one of our Colorado locals who is a bit of a deck specialist. Anthony, would you mind giving the folks at home a bit of a rundown of who you are and why they should listen to you about Xyris?
My name's Anthony. Online, I go by the Rage Panda, local CDH player. Don't play in quite as many tournaments as I would like to, but frequent at the local weeklies. And I'm kind of known for playing Xyris. I'm actually the head of the Xyris Discord on Discord, and I like to consider myself one of the main brewers on the deck. I'm excited to be here and talk about my favorite deck.
Yeah, he's being a little too modest. I have to say, as a creature combo player, I dread sitting down against Anthony because I know that my chances of winning drop by like 10%. It is a brutal and awesome deck. Thank you so much for coming and hang out with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, just want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to Sentry Sleeves. If you haven't tried them out, you should really go ahead and give them a go. They are the crispiest sleeves in the business right now, and they are super affordable. Give them a try, order them online using code EBAM5 for 5% off. They're only $10 for a pack of sleeves, and they're better than anything else on the market that we've tried. We're happy to stand on business with them. So, kind of just gonna jump right into our punters confessionals, guys, because homies, I've punted and this is an embarrassing one. I was playing in a tournament that I actually care about. I was 1-0-1 at that point. So this was my third round playing Derevi, a deck that I am supposed to know how to play inside and out. And I kept a snap keep first seven with a game plan that had a Mana Vault, a Tezzeret, and a Nature's Rhythm to go get a Displacer Kitten. For those who don't know, Mana or Displacer Kitten and Tezzeret just means go get every 1 and 0 cost rock in your deck. And then if you have something like a Nature's Rhythm, you can get your Hullbreaker Horror and basically win right there. I have apparently not goldfished my deck since I put that combo in, and I didn't do my math. So I ended up jamming in turn one Tezzeret, and I didn't have a way to actually kickstart my kitten loop on turn two. I had to wait till turn three, completely tapped out, and I lost to a Rog Rayham, which, if you don't know, is just oops all spells.
So
And
fast.
yeah, it's ridiculously fast. You don't get a turn three against that deck. And what's really embarrassing is I had a silence in hand. And if I had done my math, I could have just silenced them and won on my turn. Goldfish your deck, kids. Especially when you put a new line in. Even if you know every other card, when you put a new line in, make sure you know your math. Um, that's what I got, guys. Have either of you punted recently?
Yeah, I actually have. I have a pretty good one. Um, on this deck, I actually had a pretty oppressive board state. A lot of creatures on board. Actually, had earlier resolved a Goblin Bombardment at flash speed. Huge stack battle. Playing against a Timna Thrasios deck, which is one of my favorite decks to play against, to be completely honest. And the in the middle of the stack battle, the opponent had resolved a Grand Abolisher, which I paid no mind to. They were actually next in turn order. We're coming up on the end of the game. We're down to maybe the last 5 minutes of the game when the stack battle begins, starts going through. And I got to a point where I had 40 snakes on board, give or take, and enough to just kill everything. The player with the Grand Abolisher had one ring protection at the time. So I had to pass into their turn in order to kill them with Goblin Bombardment at instant speed. And being pressed against the clock, I didn't think to kill the Grand Abolisher before passing. So I subsequently passed the turn, was not able to activate the Goblin Bombardment on their turn. Thankfully, our good friend Johnny Barton also punted with the Grand Abolisher in time, so I got a draw out of it. But uh, just a big lesson learned that you just gotta slow down, take your time, and do the things even when you're pressed up against time. So
That is a hard learned lesson that I'm sure we've all learned so many times that,
uh,
but yeah, Grand Abolisher is a brutal card to try
yes,
to
it is.
fight through. You got anything for us today, Titus?
Yeah, was playing more of a fringe game and more on the fun friendlier side, but it was with Austin, and Austin was going to swing at me with a luge, and I couldn't take the hit because I've already taken so many, it would have been lethal. That I had two creatures to block with, and they really just wanted to take me off my Polywog Prodigy, and I had my commander out, the reality chip, and I instead chose to block with the reality chip, which I had a fierce guardianship in hand, and I should have totally blocked with the Polywog Prodigy because of my greed, though. I wanted to keep that creature. So when we started having more interaction go on with the other two players, I was being forced to draw so many cards that game. And I was definitely being greedy because I already had a Mystic Remora and Rhystic Study out to my knowledge still, or at least the fish. Yeah, the fish still. I could have just gotten away with it, but instead, the player before me forcibly made me draw out my deck because I had no way to get rid of it. And I was looking for an opportunity to also just like try to win on top, flash in maybe if I get a chance, a Born Upon the Wind with a Thassa's Oracle. But nope, had to kind of contribute during that game. So yeah, don't be greedy. Make proper choices and just yeah, give up the appropriate creature.
I mean, was the real punt playing the reality trip?
No, that deck's great. It's blue and we just play Rhystic Study, right? And copy Rhystic Study.
Fair enough. So today we're talking about Xyris, the Writhing Storm. This is a teamer deck
Yeah,
uh, that makes a lot of snakes. And
yeah,
I was looking at your deck name and it made me laugh because I'm of a certain age and I remember going to see that movie in theaters.
yeah,
Uh, for the folks at home, this is called Snakes on a Plane.
yep.
Um,
Shout out Samuel Jackson.
yeah, that was more fun than the Rocky Horror Picture Show back in the day. Uh, before we get too deep into that, we go want to talk to you a little bit about you, Anthony.
Yeah.
How'd you get into Magic, and what kind of started your journey?
Yeah, so I originally played Magic when I was about 10, 11 years old with my little sister. Probably got every single rule of the game wrong at that point because it was just us two, to be completely honest. Played probably for about a year or so when we were little kids and then moved on to Pokemon and other stuff that kids do. And took probably about a 20-year hiatus, give or take. Then randomly a buddy of mine at work was like, "Hey, have you ever played Magic?" I'm like, "Yeah, I played Magic back in the day, you know." He's like, "Well, they just," he was telling me about the Commander format because it was kind of in its infancy. It had been around for a couple years, but not fully developed into what it's grown now. And he's like, "We bought a couple precons, just jammed on a weekend, and I was fully immersed immediately." Just the nature of the game, and I've always been like a puzzle guy, and I love putting stuff together and just finding like the way that things work. And Magic really just scratched that itch. And we did a draft. My first set was Dominaria United, so we did a draft of Dominaria United. My buddy Carol, I was sitting next to him in the draft, and he pulled a Phyrexian Text Children of the Apocalypse and could not read it, and goes, and none of us knew Magic that deep at the time. We didn't look at spoilers or, really knew what the cards were, and goes, "I can't read this," and passes to me. And, me being curious, go, "Oh, this looks cool. I'll get this." And drafted it. Then we looked it up, found out what it did. And I'm like, this is bananas. Built a commander deck out of it, was quite possibly the meanest commander deck that has ever existed in the casual format. Everybody had to build decks to beat that deck, and we started our natural, progression, topping each other with decks and decks, and then that's what ultimately led us to CDH. So that's kind of my backstory and the origins of the snake guy.
Heck yeah. So you've been commander through and through your entire Magic journey.
Yeah, yeah. Mostly commander. I play casual CDH, had the natural progression. I've dabbled a little bit in things like standard and stuff, mostly on MTG Arena. But haven't done anything in paper form as far as the like 60 card formats or anything. That just mostly commander in my paper career. So
I like that you call it casual CDH. I like beer and pretzel CDH too. Uh, it's nice to just hang out with the homies and not have to worry about thinking through a 40 spell stack battle.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When moving into CDH, what commander did you start out with?
So my first commander was Kinnan, and I played that off and on, and then did Marnius was my second deck. Coming into the format, like I said, I've always had kind of an inquisitive mind. I want to explore stuff. I want to understand the ins and outs and everything. So I've hopped a lot around a lot in decks. I've played everything, every different deck that you can play, every different archetype. Just trying to really learn and immerse myself in the format, so that way when I see things, I can be knowledgeable and speak to them, kind of like the comedian type of approach to the game, and be able to like identify everything at any given point in time. So I've kind of dabbled a lot in different decks prior to building Xyris. I had built Xyris originally probably 3 months or so prior to the bans. So I've been on the deck for about 2 years. It's been the consistent, but played a lot of decks in between.
Nice. Since we're kind of getting into Xyris, what made you choose Xyris at that point?
Yeah. So I was originally inspired by a play to win video featuring Tuck from the King. He had he actually won on the channel, and I just thought it was the coolest deck, and I'm like, "Hey, I wonder how this looks." So I look up the deck list online, and to be completely honest, like I was looking at the deck list, and I'm like, there are a few omissions to this that I think would just be absolutely insane. Like I think I could build this and maybe even like improve upon it, and attack the meta on a different axis than a lot of decks do, which is kind of like the whole genesis of the deck. Like as I was learning the format, I was always it was very much similar to like the current meta, very much Ristic study, mid-range hell. So I was always like thinking, how do I stop my opponents from like exploiting these things, right? And I quickly came to the conclusion that stopping people or stacks is not the best way to do it. Like you don't want to stop people from doing things. You want to profit from them doing things. So that's kind of like when we went to Xyris and I saw that video, I'm like, this is something that I can exploit, that I can turn the axis of the meta and kind of exploit it to my own benefit. So that was kind of the premise behind like the first iteration, and the deck's gone through a lot of iterations over the 2 years that I've been playing it. A lot of different focal points and those sorts of things, but I'm really enjoying the place that it's at now, and I do okay with the deck, so I can't complain.
I really like that point that you don't want to stop people, you want to profit.
Yeah.
Because, like it or not, and I know that we have a lot of different play styles among even us here,
Mm,
but Denver has really become known on like the CDH level nationally, even as like the slop meta, or at
yeah.
least ground zero for the slop meta.
Yeah.
And I feel like Xyris attacks at such a unique angle, because you're not like trying to stop people from drawing cards. You're throwing gas on that fire,
Yeah.
and
Draw all the cards you want.
yeah, because you get punished for drawing cards against that deck, and it's you don't see it until that Chinese finger trap is around your fingers and you can't pull out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Subtle might not be the right word, but it seems more subtle than an Orcish Bowmasters because they're
Yeah,
not immediately throwing around the damage on the table.
absolutely.
You're just putting in 1/1 creatures, which are actually very good for you and are
Sure.
like a huge resource, but I just don't think it's like that upfront to players yet until life totals start going down.
Oh yeah, it's not overt at all. I think I've played against you guys in games where it's like I resolve a quick Xyris, turn two or so, and then people lay down their engines, and then before you know it, you look up and I got 26, and you guys like are, oh my God, we're so dead.
Yep. Because the first swing is Iris, people are like dibs.
Yeah, yeah, it can be a great political deck. It's real. It's there's so many angles for it. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
How did you adapt to the bans and what was kind of the change in the direction of the deck from that time frame?
Oh, the original deck was so cool. So the original deck had Nadu in it, which is absolutely insane with the amount of snakes that I had. It relied a lot more on the artifact package that was in the deck. So like Lightning Grease, which has inherent already synergy with Xyris, since you want to be able to protect the Xyris. It is a very commander-centered deck. And the haste is very beneficial, like to be able to draw cards right away. So the original package was like a little bit more Nadu centric, and then just like storm off and kill people at the end of it. Um, After and obviously J Lo, if God please unban J Lo. J Lo enabled like turn one Xyrises, which is insane. But so after that, I had to kind of adapt. I threw in things like Orcish Lumberjack for the acceleration to be able to get Xyris out quickly still, since it is such a commander centric strategy. I want to make sure that I can get that out as quickly as possible. So I threw in things like that. Dockside Extortionist was not that big of a hit, to be completely honest. I didn't feel that one as much as say JLo or Nadu at the time. If I could have Nadu now, it'd be insane. But I think that the deck actually performs better now than it did pre-ban. So it's gone through many different iterations and many different versions of the deck, if you say.
So, since we're starting to get into deck a little bit, can you tell us
Yeah,
what Xyris does?
yeah. So Xyris is a legendary creature, Snake Leviathan. It is two and teamer for a 3/5 with flying. It says whenever an opponent draws a card, except the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, you create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Okay. Whenever Xyris deals damage to combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. So uh, it's essentially Bowmaster text, like you were kind of saying. You draw a card, I make a snake.
Yeah, it sounds super innocuous.
Yeah, it's pretty chill.
Oh, if you think about it, right? If somebody is trying to, say, go for a win, you pick another player, you say, hey, let's make a deal that
Yeah,
we look to interact here and we'll draw each other both cards, right?
yeah,
It already puts a threat of 6 cards
yeah,
on the table in front of whoever might have been trying to go for a win.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely can be used as a political piece, and there have been times
Right.
where I you can say, hey, does anybody want to show me a reason to attack you in regards to like removal pieces or something like that, or I'll use it to I'll have people show me their hands, or like all these things, and I don't want to say too much because now you guys are going to catch on to my tricks, but
That's the
um
whole point of this, bud. We're in all the tricks today.
but yeah, so like it could be a very political piece or a tool, like you said, to if there's a known player that is the definitive threat, like, hey, I'm going to attack you, let's dig for some interaction. So
One of the things that we kind of like to start off here are asking what are your like main game plans? Like what is the play pattern that you're looking for the first few turns in your deck? Like
yeah,
what are you mulliganing for?
yeah, so it's a very commander centric deck. The first thing I'm looking for is Xyris. Like how do I get to Xyris? How quickly can I get to Xyris? Turn two is kind of like the sweet spot. Turn three, if I have a haste enabler, is also pretty good. But Other than that, it's a lot of the same things that any CDH deck is going to look for. You're looking for card draw, you're looking for mana, but Xyris can represent both of those things. So if you're trying to get Xyris out as quickly as possible, you're in a good spot.
What would you say are kind of the deck's biggest strengths? I mean, we know that Xyris is a huge politics tool, as you've said
Mhm.
so far. How are you using this proactively?
I think like I really do consider Xyris one of the stronger decks in the mid-range grind meta. Like you said, Denver's kind of known for the slot meta. They're double Ristic study, triple Ristic studies. Everybody's get all their draw engines and their smothering ties and everything. So Xyris thrives in that environment. Okay. So what I'm looking for is it's obviously going to be pod dependent. But it's going to thrive in that mid-range meta that people are drawing cards and I'm making snakes. And snakes represent everything in this deck. So snakes are card draw, snakes are mana, snakes are damage, snakes are everything to this. So that's going to be the main game plan. Is just getting Xyris out as quickly as possible and then just profiting off of everybody else's greed.
Okay, very cool. What would you say are kind of like some of the drawbacks of the deck? Some things that are kind of keeping it from breaking through to like those top end meta decks,
Yeah.
other than people just see, oh, that's a teamer commander for five.
It struggles against turbo. Oh my goodness. I sit down to a rog side and I'm just like, oh, okay, here we go. Hope someone else has something. Because the deck is very interactive. I built in a pretty heavy interactive package into it because since I do give away resources, I got to be able to defend those things. So but a turbo deck, if you're winning on turn two, a rog side, a Tolly, those sorts of things, that is my biggest weakness. Like I'm not equipped to deal with it. It's a very commander centric deck, and it's a 5 mana commander with 3 color pips. So like it's not fast, but in that mid range game, that's where it can excel.
Okay, heard.
And in those turbo matches, are you just generally going with like the try to cast Xyris when that option becomes available, or are you just trying to go for like a fish or a Ristic study?
Yeah, I'm mostly looking for fish and Ristic today, just like
Okay,
everybody else in those metas, or obviously heavy interaction. If I'm looking at 4 counter spells, I'll keep that. I just got to survive long enough until I can get Xyris out, because a lot of those decks, the thing is with them is that you stop them once, they're going to try again, but it's going to take them a second. Like it's
right.
it's not super uncommon for like a ROG side to present wins on consecutive turns, but it's not the norm. So like I just have to survive long enough to get Xyris out and kind of force that mid-range game plan. So yeah, I'm looking for card draw. I'm looking for interaction mostly in those matchups.
Okay. And do you find a card that seems like it could be a problem? Like, do you have issues with Orcish Bowmasters with your game plans?
Yes and no. Okay, so Orcish Bowmasters is not my biggest fear. It does it suck? Yes. Okay. Generally there are bigger threats on board than my 1/1 snake. So like that's the thing that they're going to kill the most often. But 10 times out of 10, you're going to kill a Kinnan before you're going to kill a 1/1 snake. So unless it does stop the wheels game plan, like that will put a hinder on that. But from a general standpoint, and once again, going back to the political piece, me and a Bowmaster player can team up, you know. So I'll say, hey, I'm going to swing at you. I'll give you 3 cards if you kill X, Y, and Z. So it can be a deterrent, but it's not my biggest nightmare by far.
Okay,
Fair
yeah, it
enough.
looks like you're running five wheels, so it does
Yeah.
seem like a bowmaster could. Thankfully, that card's not very heavily played at the moment, but I can't
Yeah.
see that that's going to be the case for long. Like they're
Yeah.
going to be starting to come back out again soon.
I
And
can imagine. And everybody in my play group knows. I personally, I'm so against Orcish Bowmaster. It is just a design flaw. Like if there's what people call for heuristic study bans or Thassa bans, like if there was one card I could ban, it would be
we
Orcish Bowmasters
we
because
concur.
Yeah,
it is
dude.
just it's so toxic. Like it is so bad, and it fundamentally doesn't do what it's designed. It's supposed to be card draw hate. It's not. It's creature hate.
Yeah,
It's like
it's yeah, punishes green, not the person who's
yes,
actually drawing cards.
drawing the card. If it just said deal 1 damage to that player or a permanent they control, boom, fixed. Because then it
Beautiful.
actually then it
Yeah.
does what it's supposed to
Hmm.
do. But it doesn't say that, unfortunately.
No, it says kill my deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're haters. Don't
Yeah.
worry, we're on your team.
There is one more card. Since you're on so many wheels, is
Yeah.
Smothering Tithe another issue?
That one I'm more afraid. The easy answer is it depends who has it. Okay. If it's a blue farm, terrified. Yeah, I'm not willing into that. If it's a Timna Thrasios, sure, they're gonna do with those treasures is draw more cards. It's gonna make me more snakes. I'm gonna profit off it. So the short answer is it depends. I also have some ways to like clone things in my deck. So if I see those things, I can a lot of times like either clone them or deal with them, that sort of thing. So same thing with Smothering Tide, not my worst enemy, but a deterrent.
Okay, heard. Kind of just jumping into how does your deck typically win since
Yeah,
you've brought up the wheels package?
I'd say 90% of my wins are through Perforos. Like Perforos is kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Um, it it enables so many things. Whether if it's just the damage from a wheel, I mean, one wheel with Perforos is 42 damage to each player. Yeah,
Uh, we're gonna assume that a lot of CDH players are playing here and they've never read Perforos.
yeah, yeah.
So why don't you give us a
It may
rundown?
be the only CEDH deck that runs it, but yeah, Perforous God of the Forge is a 4 mana, 3 and a red legendary enchantment creature god. It's a 6/5 with indestructible. Okay, as long as my devotion to red is less than 5, Perforos is not a creature. That's actually a very important line of text. Okay, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control, Perforos does 2 damage to each opponent. Okay. It also relevantly has a activated ability that's 2 and a red. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay. So like I said, 9 out of 10 wins that I have can be directly attributed to Perforos, either in the form of the burn damage from the ETB impact tremors effect or the buff. There have been many times where, I'll put a Perforos on the stack. People like, do you have a wheel in hand? I'm like, nope. And I'll show them and I'm like, I ain't got no wheel in hand. And they forget that I have a guy's cradle on board with 40 snakes and I can just swing, pump them a few times and everybody's dead anyway. So yeah, almost every wheel that or win that I have is attributed to Perforos. It does have obviously Underworld Breach and Brain Freeze combos, those sorts of things with the deck because those types of combos lean very well into the wheel strategy. But 9 out of 10 wins are directly due to Perforos.
So with that first line, as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Perforos isn't a creature.
Yeah.
Is Perforos a creature on the stack if you don't have devotion?
Perforos is a creature on the stack, not on the battlefield. So
Okay.
that's kind of like the perfect combination of that. Creature spells are harder to counter, non-creatures are harder to deal with on the board. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's awesome. You love to see that combination, and
Yeah.
that's so rare in this format.
Yep.
What would you say are your best matchups then? Like, who are you looking to pick a fight with when you're saying down?
Name a mid-range deck, and I love it. Like, I love seeing a TNT. I don't really care about a blue farm, to be honest. Like my win rate against blue farm is pretty good, and we have some pretty damn good blue farm players in our meta. Anything that's going to grind that mid range game, I'm comfortable in that matchup. The
Okay.
one that gives me a little bit of trouble probably is Kinnan, though. Like Kinnan, just because it's flexibility of being able to win quickly or win over the top on the stack. But I took a lot of inspiration for this deck when it comes to Kinnan in regards to like the flash effects and being able to win on the stack and exploit those things because a lot of the mana generation and the card draw in this deck and those sorts of things can be exploited just like Kinnan. So if you one of Kinnan's biggest strengths is when you're going through that stack battle where they're trying to win over the top, okay, they generally just have more mana than everybody else, so they're able to grind a little bit better. But it's the same thing with Xyris. So like if I have a guy's cradle, a 3 tree city, a all-star in the deck, a Phyrexian altar, right? Like I have just as much mana, if not more. Every time you guys draw, I'm making snakes, I'm making mana, I'm drawing cards. That's where it really excels. If anybody that wants to play the mid range game, that's the game I want to play.
So I've
Awesome.
noticed that the deck, once you get going, seems to make a ton of mana. Earthcraft as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah. It has no. That's I think that was one of the intrigues for Xyris too. Is with those effects, the Earth crafts, the Phyrexian altars, those sorts of things. It kind of has the best of both worlds. A lot of commanders have card draw stapled on them. A lot of commanders like Kinnan have mana stapled on them. Like Xyris kind of pseudo has both. Like it does a lot of the Rog Thras type of stuff in the teamer show, but it kind of does it in inverse. Like I inherently have the bodies like a Rog Thras will, get the lands and like the guy's cradle and that sort of thing, and then use that and build and like cast spells, their chatter storms, those sorts of things in order to make the bodies. I make the bodies and then get the lands. So it can kind of benefit. It's a little bit more explosive, not quite as dirtily, but can just kind of explode once it's ready to go.
And kind of just looking through your packages here a little bit, how
Yeah.
much has Hexing Squelcher been like a shot in the arm for this deck?
It's so good. It's exactly what the deck needed, man. Like, and the great thing is you guys asked about Bowmaster, and you can't do that no more. If I wheel, you aren't targeting my stuff unless you pay 2 life per. So like that, it's the silence effect, it's the protection for Xyris. It's everything that the deck wanted. It's the best card that the deck has got other than one other spicy card that I got in here too that recently came out that I love. So
Is that the Unagi?
that's actually the harmonized crescendo, brother.
Okay.
That card is absolutely bananas in this.
Okay, tell us what
So
it does and then walk us through
Cool.
it.
Yeah, harmonized crescendo. Yeah, let me grab it. So harmonized crescendo is a 6 mana instant. It costs 4 and 2 blue, but it has convoke. Okay. So snakes can help cast it. Okay. It says choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. So reliably, this card is 2 mana, draw as many cards as I have snakes. Every time I've resolved this card, it's between 15 and 25 cards at 2 mana instant speed.
it
That's disgusting.
it
This is my deck's ad nos. Like
it
it's absurd.
it really feels like a finisher piece. The fact that
It,
you can play it at instant speed as well.
Yeah, and for two, like if I have 4 snakes and tap 4 and draw them, like at bare minimum, let's just say I have an untapped Xyris. I just cast Xyris. It goes around the turn. A couple people drew a couple cards. I make 3 snakes. I could do 2 mana, draw 4 cards at instant speed. And that's its bare minimum. Every time I've casted, like I said, 15, 20, 25 cards on the regular for 2 mana instant speed is absurd. Whether it be at the end of a stack, on the top of a stack battle to draw more interaction. I've used it as a political piece. Hey, I don't have anything to stop the win. I got this. Can I do this and get us something? And like they don't really have a choice. They got to let me try to get interaction. But if they let this resolve, it's game over. It's
Yeah.
done. With 15, 20 cards in hand, I'm not losing that game anymore.
I don't know if I'd let you resolve that. I might take a draw, but I'm not letting you resolve that.
But
uh,
yeah, this is the best card the deck's got in quite some time.
No, that really seems like it is made for a list like this.
Yeah,
Something that generates a bunch of creatures and just be able to pop off with it. How easy is it to win on top of somebody else trying to take a win?
pretty easy. Realistically, and like post wheel, things like quarter calling, absurd, because the snakes are green snakes. A lot of times I can cast a quarter calling, and they're individual triggers. So let's say I wheel. There's actually 21 triggers of Xyris on the stack, so I can respond to any individual trigger. So I can allow the snakes to resolve. Let's say I have seven. Let's say I draw into the quarter calling, right? I can let seven of those triggers resolve, make seven snakes, cast the seven snakes, cast a cord for four, get the Perforos, let the other 14 triggers resolve and do 28 damage. So like just little things like that. The deck, the flash speed package, when I added that, insane. Like being able to interact after the draw. The best time for this deck to win is actually on the player after me's turn, because my triggers are going to be resolved first due to app damp. So I'm getting my snakes off people's draws that I can exploit, those sorts of things. So the best time for me to win is actually on the following player's turn.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that absolutely tracks. Because you're on Valley Flood Caller, you're on High Fate Trickster.
Yep.
You have the full flash package in
Yeah.
here with Born
Yep.
Upon a Wind. I'm
Born
assuming
upon
you're
a
on
wind.
Emergent Zone.
Yep. Yeah. So, because the emergence zone is great because I'm on a pretty heavy like land tutor package anyway, just because I have so many impactful lands. Guys Cradle, the 3 tree city, perfect. I get to run two guys Cradle. My deck's cheating. um,
I know that you're not on this, and I'm just wondering if we're going to, as a format, get into the extreme of starting to run Leyline of Anticipation.
yeah.
Just
It's
that.
actually in my considering section on Mockfield. Like
Oh, that's funny.
I've thought about it for a while. And being able to have it, the only thing that has stopped me from doing it is that it itself does not have flash. If
Yeah,
it had flash and I was able to flash it out after, it'd be an auto include in the deck.
for sure. Um, I also love that you have some cards in here that, like, quite literally, if I saw this and I hadn't seen them perform in games, I would say, dude, that's Cope. What are you doing? Why do you have a Mystic Reflections? Like
I
you're
think
just living in like magical Christmas land. There's
I
no
think
way
you can
that ever runs,
I
like
think you
works
can
out.
attest to that one though.
I I not only can I attest, I can attest in multiple games.
yeah, yeah, Mystic Reflect. I mean, if I have a pet card, like you can't have pet cards in CDH. If I have a pet card, it's Mystic Reflections. That card is so good.
Would you mind reading
So
it for us?
yeah, absolutely. Let me grab it real quick. So Mystic Reflections. Okay. So, Mystic Reflections is a instant for 1 and a blue. Okay, it says choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers would enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. It also has foretell for a single blue, which to this point I've never used, but I can see a situation where I may. But this card is insane. So
Hmm.
it's for in my deck, it's a 2 mana clone spell first and foremost. Okay, so after someone draws a card in response to my Xyris trigger, things like you guys ask about Orcish Bowmaster, I can cast this target Orcish Bowmaster. My snake enters as the Orcish Bowmaster. Okay, um, so it allows that flexibility offensively if I want to clone something. Okay. But it's also even almost probably better. It's a great defensive piece. Okay. There was a point actually it kind of me and Thomas's game, Thomas on the Revy deck. Okay. Or I can't remember the
No, I was
exact
playing
specifics. You
Kinnan.
were you
Yeah.
playing Kinnan? Okay,
Hmm.
playing Kinnan. Had a pretty cracked board already, if I remember correctly. It was pretty nasty. We were getting kind of in the mid-range slop game. And I cast Mystic Reflection, target snake. Kinnan acts as enters as a snake, and Thomas proceeded to do for the rest of the games because we didn't have a way to bounce the Kinnan or kill the Kinnan, and everybody just let it in for 1 damage the whole game, and it just completely blew one out. One of my favorite stories with Mystic Reflection in a turn, I think it was in a 5K tournament. I was playing against a Tivit, known. Known
Time Thief.
What's time sieve? Thank you. Known time sieve in hand, okay, and no interaction on in anybody's hand. I can't remember the specifics on how we knew this, but no one had any interaction. Okay, they cast an uncounterable pivot. I can't remember the exact how it was it was uncounterable pivot. In response, I cast the Mystic Reflection, target snake. Pivot enters as a snake, stops the complete win. So like this card is like every time I have it in my hand, it plays so much better than it reads, especially in this deck because it does have the flexibility of just being a 2 mana instant speed copy effect for non-legendaries. Like, and there's so many great non-legendaries, the flash speeds, the high fate tricksters, the valley flood callers, all those things. Like, there's so many good non-legendaries to target. The flexibility really just kind of shines in this deck.
Yeah, it reads terribly, and then in practice, like you it read it in practice, it's like, okay, you get to play a three-player game now.
Yeah, it's every time I love, and it's the best card to cast because every time I do it, I'm like, okay, in response, I like to cast Mystic Reflections, and you can hear audibly three people like in unison. What the heck is that? Because no one ever seen it before. It's fantastic. It's my favorite card.
I do have a question on the Perforos.
Yeah.
So I understand Perforos is a bit safer being with the indestructible, correct?
Mm.
Or not being a creature
Yeah,
until you meet
both.
the devotion.
Mm.
Um, but why like something like Perforos over a cheaper creature that has a similar impact tremors? One less
Yeah.
damage, that makes sense, but like Agate Instigator, the lizard.
Sure. Yeah. And I had that in the list at one point. So what I found is there are a number of things that make Purpose significantly better. You kind of touched on a couple of them. Number one, that it's not a creature. Okay. That so deadly relics, those sorts of things. It's not a. I only have 7 permanent pips in the entire deck, so I would almost have to have every single red permanent in play for it to be a creature. Okay, so things like Deadly Rollick are not dismember to a certain is not played a lot, but still a little bit would kill Perforos. So those sorts of things don't touch Perforos. Indestructibility. The only answer once like if I have a wheel on the stack and Perforos is on the battlefield, the only thing that stops at that point after this wheel is resolved and the Xyris triggers are on the stack, the only thing that stops me there is a bounce spell for non-creatures. It's the only thing that stops that. The explosivity of it. So being 2 damage over 1, even something like a negate instigator that has the offspring. Okay. Number one, those are much easier killed by Orcish Bowmasters and the like. Okay. Number two, off of the to battlefield creature tutors. Okay. That's only 1 damage. I can't offspring it with off one of those tutors. Okay. And the 2 damage is significantly better and more explosive. 20 or 42 damage off a wheel is much better than 28. Like it's a guaranteed kill. Okay. And then what I've also found playing the deck is that when I play things like that are death by 1,000 cuts, the I've had them all, the Gate Instigator, the Impact Tremors, the Scrawling Crawler. Like I've had all those
I
things.
did wonder about the scrolling crawler.
Yeah, all those things. Okay, all they do is point a bigger target on me. Okay, so the death by 1,000 cuts is not the way to go. Like I'll get focused out. Okay, you kind of alluded to earlier when we first started that the deck's a little bit innocuous. It's like it reads a little like, okay, well that could be broken, but it's like, what is he going to do with a bunch of snakes? So a lot of the deck is kind of laying under the radar until it's time to explode. So things that are the death by 1,000 cuts just puts the spotlight on me. So that's the number one reason that Perforos is the main win con over something like those other ones.
No, that's very fair and understandable.
Yeah,
And plus, it seems like the mana generation, once you get it rolling, you're good.
yeah.
So you mentioned at the very beginning that you are the mod of the Xyris Discord.
Yeah.
Um, so I assume you have some pretty good visibility into how other people are building this deck.
Mhm.
What range of builds are we seeing? Is your build the definitive that we're seeing a lot of people are building pretty close to, or is there a pretty wide range of builds?
There's really two. There's my build, which is more the wheels focused underworld breach type of one, and then shout out to my boy Prater. He's kind of the originator of the other version, which is more like the combat heavy. It's on things like shared animosity. So you resolve a shared animosity and it's GG's. It's not on the wheel package. It's a little bit more using the opponent's draws and a little bit more combat focused than mine. I haven't tried it out. It's been something that's been on my radar. And Prater is always trying to get me to try it out. I just haven't got around to doing it yet. But
Okay, very cool. So that it's not necessarily solved, but like you guys have found two lanes that you're swimming in at the moment.
yeah, yeah, and it's very much an unsolved commander. Like I said, I was inspired by someone that I saw on a YouTube channel, and I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I think I can do that, but I might be able to put my own little spin on it and have a little bit more success with it. So it's very much an unsolved commander. So if anybody like wants to try it out, I would encourage you guys to hop into our Discord and kind of brew with us and throw out some ideas. Because I think that the commander has a lot of potential, and I think it's very far from solved. I mean, a couple cards that come out are, you know, a couple cards that that I'm just not aware of that might have some inherent synergy with the deck, and the deck could be really good. So, anybody that's interested in it, I would highly recommend joining us and help us brew.
Love that.
Why no badger mole cub or mushroom related card?
So as you kind of pointed out, the deck does not struggle with mana. When I make the snakes, I got plenty of. I'd rather run an extra. To be completely honest, I'd rather run an extra land tutor than something like a Badge of Mole Cup. I had Vibrance in the deck for a short period of time, just to be able to get the Guy's Cradles, the three tree cities, because those are more explosive mana right off the bat. So that's the main reason. Is just that the deck doesn't really struggle with mana inherently. I'd rather do something like have more interaction or something that's going to benefit me in other areas as opposed to the mana generation.
I got the meme Titus. Uh,
I missed it over my head.
you
That
you might be too
uh
young for that one. That's like a 2004, 2005 thing.
Badger,
Gotcha.
badger, badger, badgers.
Oh yeah, I'm I'm actually the GM of a car dealership, so I know that one.
Okay. Um, so in the next calendar year, what would be the perfect card printed for your deck? And I'm not saying something that's like OP like Nadu, but what would be like something that could be released and played in like standard or modern that would be like a sick card printed for your deck?
The second you asked that question, my mind immediately went to J-Lo. Just give me J-Lo back. I'll be good.
I
Uh,
mean, you might get it back. They said that's the one that they're most likely to unban.
yeah. Um, a card that I have dabbled with in the past, that is absolutely cracked, but I think it's missing just a tiny bit is Kindred Discovery. Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
Kindred Discovery, for those that know, it's a 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue enchantment that states, as this enters, name a creature type. Whenever a creature of this type enters or attacks, draw a card. Okay. So that essentially in this deck is I steal everybody's Ristic Study. You draw a card, I make a snake, I draw a card. Okay. So it's everybody's Ristic Study. So something like that, maybe like 1 mana cheaper, maybe even on a creature or something like a roaming throne type of thing that
Yeah.
like draws cards or something. I'm not in card design, so I
No,
don't know
no,
if any of
I
these are
I dig
even
what you're saying.
good
Like
ideas, but
that card, but you could tutor it directly to the board. Like
yeah,
I could see something
yeah,
just
like
push
a
it right over.
creature.
Yeah.
A creature kindred discovery that maybe has changeling or something that would be hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sick. I love that. You kind of already did this, but if you were going to sell a player on your deck, what's the highlight reel?
Yeah. So if you like making a lot of mana, if a card that's really similar to it, if you like Tymna decks, like because that's one of the big things with Tymna is like you draw 3 cards a turn, right? Or up to. Okay, but this is guaranteed. You just got to interact with people a little bit more. If you like the political side of the format, you want to talk to people and make alliances and talk your way out of stuff and those sorts of things. It's a great deck. If you kind of like the Rog Thras, but you don't like the Dirtle, if you want a bit a little bit more explosivity, then I think those are the types of players that would really enjoy playing Xyris.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Anthony. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to shout out or give some love to?
Yeah, no, like I said, this is a deck that's far from solved. So if you guys want to check us out, look us up on Discord. I go by the Rage Panda on Moxfield, so I have a link to our Discord in my prime in the primer of the deck on my deck list. So come check us out, brew with us, and have some fun playing some snakes.
Yeah, we'll definitely link the Discord in the show notes below as well for anybody who wants to come and hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
I know I'll definitely join and see what y'all are
yeah,
cooking.
yeah,
Um, yeah, well, if you've stayed with us this far, please consider giving this video a like, follow, or subscribe, depending on how you found us. Check out our sponsor, Century Sleeves. Use code EBAM5 for 5% off your purchase. And check out all of our socials in the link tree below. Feel free to join our Discord and be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. It's just a game.